Hey everybody, waitingfornextyear.com podcast. The Cleveland Browns lost to the Indianapolis Colts 31-28. They were favored by 1.5, potentially, depending on where you choose your betting lines in Vegas, and they lost. The Browns lost. I feel sorry for a lot of you, and I don't mean to come off condescending, but I'm actually more surprised the Browns were even favored to win this game. I know that if the Browns had played against Tolzien, they probably would have won this game no problem. And I'm not here to tell you that Jacoby Brissett is the next coming of Tom Brady, even though he studied under Tom Brady. Shout out Brian Hoyer. Jacoby Brissett has T.Y. Hilton, and all he had to do was not be horrible, and they able to take advantage and win that game. When the Browns lost Corey Coleman, when they lost Jamie Collins, when we found out that it was going to be another week without Myles Garrett, I mean, I don't really know what the expectation was, and I think a lot of you get confused about the statistical probability of winning a game where you're a 1.5 point favorite. It's not really all that much better than 50-50, and I'm not that surprised. And I know there are a lot of people who are really pissed off during the game, and there's plenty to be pissed off about. I'm not saying that it's okay, and I'll talk about the things that really, really made me mad, but it's not that shocking. And if it's not that shocking, I don't know how you drum up all the anger that I see some of you have on Twitter and during the game. Even some people I saw out reacting to the game live. So let's talk about some of the problems. I don't have a big issue with DeShone Kizer. I think this is still a very rookie-ish performance. My problem is with Hue Jackson, and I'm not saying that I think Hue Jackson can't be the coach of this team long term. I think that he's probably not coaching it the way many of us would like him to, considering where they are in their development on the roster. If Eric Mangini was coaching this team, you would get a Mike Fratello version of the Browns. He would only focus hardcore on the things that he knew that they could do well. He would manage the variables he could manage, and he would try and eke out wins. It would be really awful to watch. You know, it'd be like Mike Fratello, when Mike Fratello ran the Cavaliers. And he didn't have the talent, he didn't have the horses to compete. And certainly that showed in the playoffs, but he could grind out an 80-76 win in the regular season just by slowing the pace down, limiting the ability for the other team to run up the score and reduce their number of possessions and just ugly it up. Well, Hue Jackson is not really doing that. I mean, if he was really committed to trying to eke out every win, he would run the ball more. He would take fewer over-the-top chances with Kizer. The interception that Kizer threw in the red zone this time was a pass. It was the 5th pass in a row that DeShone Kizer had thrown. Now, we're talking about a rookie in his 3rd regular season game after playing, 2 quarters in the preseason? And Hue Jackson's game plan to protect that rookie, and again, this is not to even speak of the front office that put this wide receiver crew together. This was their A game. This was their first plan, minus Corey Coleman's injury. But his game plan included throwing the ball 5 straight times as they're in the red zone. Where Isaiah Crowell was running the ball pretty well. There was no reason why Hue Jackson couldn't take the pressure off, set up the play-action fake for his rookie quarterback by handing the ball off to Isaiah Crowell more. But he's acting like he's calling plays the way he expects to call plays when DeShone Kizer proves he's a real quarterback. He's calling plays as if he has a roster that is ready to compete for a playoff spot. And maybe that's the wrong approach. I think a lot of us would like to see a scaled back version of the playbook that increases their chances of winning right now. But maybe this is better for setting up their habits for when they are a complete product and they have the depth at all positions and experience at all positions. It's not even about depth anymore. some of these guys might end up being the solutions at their positions, but they lack experience and they lack know-how, especially those receivers. I mean, other than Kenny Britt, let's just stop talking about Kenny Britt. He's a failure. He's never going to work out until such time as the Browns render him their third receiver. He's never going to be that effective. I mean, when he puts up those numbers in Tennessee, it was the Titans, right? Yeah, when he puts those numbers up in Tennessee, he's doing so not as the first option. And now he was supposed to be the second option. Now he's been thrust into the role of first option. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And all the penalties the Browns receivers got during today's game, those were the result of inexperience. The Steelers know how to run a pick play without it getting called, a legal pick play, if you will. The Browns do not. Seth DeValve got called for one. Rashard Higgins got called for one. Kenny Britt gets called for push-offs. I mean, the Browns just need to fine-tune those skills. They need to find guys, and if these guys can't do it, they need to find guys who can. But I just don't know what the expectation was. And I know it hurts to lose a game that you think that your team should win, but I'm not so sure that they should have won it. I'm just not. Once Jamie Collins gets hurt and everything else happens the way it happens, I'm just not so sure that they really were supposed to win that game. So, I don't know. I get it. I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. I think, there are massive questions about Hue Jackson, but they're no different than the questions. I've been raising those since he was hired. The fact that he never hired an offensive coordinator. And to think that, bitching about it right now is useful or going to somehow help, it's not. It's not. This is, again, you guys hate when I use the word tanking. And maybe we just need to use the word rebuild. But nothing that's happening right now is about this season. Nothing. And the fact that we get all hyped up and amped up like this win means anything, we're putting false importance on it. And I'm not saying the Browns shouldn't have won. I think they could have won. And I think that you could make the case that they should have won. But to think that, people are so upset and so disappointed in them losing this game, it's unbelievable to me. It's a little bit unbelievable. So I'm not happy about it. There's a lot of constructive criticism to be had. We'll go through it this week at Waiting for Next Year. Obviously, we'll be doing the film rooms. We'll be talking about Hue Jackson and his coaching decisions. The play calling is still so frustrating. So frustrating to think that, the Browns should be passing it this much more than they run it. I look at some of the like no huddle stuff that they were running in the fourth quarter, and they're throwing to the middle of the field and taking what the defense gives them. Well, sometimes that could include Isaiah Crowell gashing them for 12 or 13 yards, but he can't do it unless you hand him the ball. And I know sometimes they run play action or they put him out and they pass the ball to the running back. But by the time he runs a pattern, he turns around to catch the ball. Now his back is to the defense. So it limits his upside potential in terms of that play. It's not the same as handing him the ball, letting him get through the first wave of defenders and having all the secondary in front of him. Then he's running downhill. He's got the entire defense in front of him, presumably, and he can make something small into something much bigger, get all the way to the safeties, make it 13, 14, 15. You've got to hand the ball off. That's what I'm saying. That's a long way of saying you've got to hand the ball off. And Hue Jackson just won't do it. He just won't do it. And it might be fine in the future when they get a wide receiver set. It might be fine when DeShone Kizer becomes the real quarterback, if he becomes the real quarterback. But right now, with this team as young and inexperienced as they are, it's very frustrating. And I think that they could be winning games. I don't think that Hue Jackson's putting them in the best spot to win, considering their inexperience and age. But it's not about winning this year. It's never been about winning this year. I know we felt like some people were saying that Sunday against the Colts was a must-win, but it's just not true. You're making things up. It's not a must-win unless Jimmy Haslam says that Hue Jackson's job is on the line, and maybe it is. Maybe he'll lose patience. Maybe if the Browns are just a 3-win team or less, maybe if the Browns are a 1-win team again, they say, hey, look, we needed to see more progression, and we didn't see it, and they fire Hue Jackson. It'd be a shame, though. It'd be a shame because this roster wasn't set up. What they need to do, at least at this point, my opinion at this point, is they need to gut it out, keep it together, hope that DeShone Kizer turns out to be a legit quarterback and develops. But I do think Hue Jackson could do a better job of calling plays right now to kind of make the short term a little less painful. And I know it's painful. These next couple weeks are really big. Jamie Collins has to come back. Myles Garrett has to come back. The Browns have to give themselves a real good shot against the Bengals and the Jets, because if they don't, oh, goodness gracious, this thing will get ugly. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys are checking out the 3 sports podcasts that I'm doing with Ben Axelrod. I'm having a lot of fun talking Browns with him over at WKYC, and it's really good stuff for waiting for next year, just to kind of introduce us to a new audience and get us out in front of some new and different people. And plus, I just really like talking to Ben about the Browns. It's fun to have somebody else to talk regularly about the Browns with. So hope you're checking that out. Thanks so much for listening. Get some guests this week. I'll talk to you later. It's been the waitingfornextyear.com podcast.